This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Trench Talk, the Frandoze Show, right here on MBR platforms. Again, thank you for listening in. Today, as always, we have a very important show for you. Always on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Shouts out to Military Broadcast Radio Network for giving veterans a voice. I have had a great time since I've been a part of this network this past year. And again, it was really difficult because I have a bunch of other shows, and I really did want to have my military talk show back on the network. And so what a better place to have it than to have it with my veteran community. All right, so I'm going to play some public service announcements. We're going to get right into it. I have a very special guest for you. One of my topics that I address in the community is rhabdomyolysis. I know you know me for a lot of sickle cell trait talks. However, I had rhabdo with my sickle cell trait, and if you've seen that in the community and on the news, it can cause some very difficult health complications and, at worst case, sudden death. So there's this whole study of the sickle cell trait trying to figure out is it the rhabdo, is it the sickle cell trait, what's causing what's triggering what, the egg or the chicken, which came first. Right now they're looking at possibly the rhabdo is the trigger. However, it is not enough research that has been done yet to officially say that. I know that there is a conversation in the sickle cell community, sickle cell trait community, that they are doing the best they can to say that the sickle cell trait is not the trigger in rhabdo. And I'm okay with that. Just let us know which is which so that I can make sure that I have those conversations with people so they can know, right? And that's the best that I can do, is have people pay attention to the body. Not saying that you can't exercise, that you can't, do these things in life. But with rhabdomyolysis, anybody can experience rhabdo, right? So rhabdo is just as important to me because, again, I was diagnosed with having rhabdo. And I just found out some information this past weekend that the influenza, the pneumonia in little children is causing them to have cases of rhabdomyolysis as well because of the high fever. And so when I looked at the different causes of what can cause rhabdo, it does say infections. So again, this conversation is important and it's personal to me as well. And I have a guest who's going to help me, express how important this conversation is with what her experiences with rhabdo was as well. So we're going to come back with her. I got Big Dre here. I got one of his partners. I got Caldwell coming in. The next part of this segment after this one, I just say just stick around. That's all I'm gonna tell you is just stick around because, for me, I don't do a lot of political conversations. However, number 47 is doing his thing, and a lot of people are responding and reacting in various ways, and now it's starting to reach our veteran community as well with some of the conversations that he's having. But not just because of that, but just because, of course, this is the United States, right? So these conversations are affecting us, whether it's us personally or our friends or our family. So for me, it's going to be important to talk about this. Our opinions only, and I'll get into that on the second half of the show. But this is the Frondoze Show, Trench Talk Edition, right here on MB Radio. Shout us out, what's the count? We'll be right back.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia. Not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh,
too,
man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
My name is Ann Halley. I am the CEO and founder of the Rhabdomyolysis Foundation. I founded the organization in 2022 in an effort to support survivors and fund medical-related research. If you're interested in getting involved with our organization, you can visit our website at therhabdofoundation.org. You You can sign up as a volunteer, or you can support our organization by donating directly on our website. And all proceeds will go to support survivors and medical research.
I want to thank that organization for sponsoring one of our ABA games, and so shouts out to them. I will be working with them in the near future. Again, for my part of that conversation is the sickle cell trait, but there are other things that could cause, as I was saying before. So with no further ado, let's bring up my guest Sean so we can get her on the deck. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for hanging out.
Yeah.
So again, you've seen some of the PSAs before, and we've talked offline, social media wise. So again, thank you for taking time out tonight to share a little bit about your story. Introduce yourself, and then we'll get started. How's that?
Sure. I guess Sean Johnson from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm in health and wellness, and
Okay.
I'm new to the whole rhabdo thing as of Memorial Day in 2024. So
Cool.
yeah.
All right. So what was going on before that episode of Rhabdo, if you remember, like what was happening?
As far as what was going on, the only thing going into it is I guess talking about maybe the events of like I went to a wedding 2 nights beforehand and had 2 glasses of wine, like I would, nothing abnormal. The day before, again, I live in Arizona, it's pretty hot. The day before Memorial Day, that was a Sunday, I spent all day at the pool. I drank only water, but they were little cups. I wasn't drinking enough water. I just didn't, I don't know, I guess felt invincible. And then, then went into Memorial Day doing the Murph workout. Are you familiar with Murph, or should I explain it? Okay. Yeah. So it's in honor of Navy SEAL Lieutenant Michael Murphy. There's actually a movie done, what's it called? Lone Survivor, I think, by Mark Wahlberg. I think that's what it's called. It's about the firefight in which he was killed. But Michael Murphy was, this workout was his favorite workout. And from what I hear, he did it almost daily. And he'd start off with a 1 mile run, then 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, 1 mile run, all with a 20-pound weighted vest on. That's full prescribed. So a lot of people do modifications where, they'll do 10, 20, 30. So 10 pull-ups, 20 push-ups, 30 squats 10 times. You do 10 rounds to split it up. So, you're not going the whole way. So, so I went in dehydrated. Looking back now, I'm like, oh yeah, never going to do that again. I mean, I've always known hydration stuff, but I'm in Arizona. Like, I guess I've just felt invincible in my 40 years,
Yeah.
And then, going into it, I was the only one that showed up with the weighted vest that day, and everyone looked at me. I'm like, let's see how long it stays on. I did not anticipate that it would be on very long. I just thought, well, let me start here and then I'll slowly taper off. And I've done Murph before. I'd always modify and never did the weighted vest. And so anyway, I got through the 3rd round and did the 1 mile run and then the 3rd round of that. And then I was looking at the board and seeing the picture of Lieutenant Michael Murphy, and I just went, you know what, for everything, servicemen, what all of you have gone through. And I got real cerebral and went, all right, I am not dropping to my knees. I'm not going to modify, and I will not take this vest off. And so I committed. I didn't care how long it would take me to get through the workout. I was going to do it. And I did. So the only thing I had to really kind of modify, just because I physically couldn't do it, was all of the pull-ups. So, I mean, even it was just like very slight, or like I had to kick my legs just to get some leverage after a while. I got nauseated and lightheaded halfway through, regained strength, and then continued. So it was a really epic experience. One of my favorite quotes is, people aren't so much looking for the meaning of life as they are the feeling of being alive. And pushing yourself to that stretch, as is, it helps you feel alive. So I felt really good about it. But very quickly, and I look back at videos, I mean, it was already starting to kick in mid-workout. I mean, you could see my arms were already swelling pretty bad. I left there not able to straighten my arms. I was just stuck at the elbow like this and couldn't straighten.
Wow.
And then I kept saying I looked like Popeye, not quite as bad. And then it was what was it, Wednesday, the following Wednesday. So Monday was the workout. Wednesday, I coached at my gym. And thank God, there's a God, there's a lot of God moments in this, but I had to. I was grateful that I was coaching because I was around people who knew what it was, and they were able to go, I think you have rhabdo, and I'm like, oh, what? How do you spell that? What are you saying? I had no idea what the word was.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't catching how significant it was. And then by the end of the day, I was full on Popeye, just shaky, jiggly arms.
Yeah.
My arms aren't normally like that, and it like looked like cartoonish. And then one of the coaches, I had to set up the workout room for the next day. And this is another God moment. Again, they were telling me it was rhabdo, but I wasn't catching how serious or that I really needed to go to ER then.
Yeah.
And then getting at home, I had to message in the group because I couldn't move the barbells, which is also very weird because I could always move the barbells and set up the room. And I couldn't. I just was giving them a heads up. Hey, allow enough time in the morning to set up for the room. And one of the coaches, she said, do not go to bed without reporting back the color of your urine. I think you're in serious trouble. So, and normally, I mean, we're girls, to be honest, we're not looking always, So, and it's 10 o'clock at night at this point. And so I was like, all right, so I went and it was very dark, like black tea.
Yeah.
And then I got up and then I looked in the mirror and I noticed my eyes were yellow because then also my liver enzymes were really high as well. So I was like, oh crap. Okay, I guess I'm in trouble. Drove myself to urgent care and then it turned into 6 days in the hospital and my CK levels were at 47,000. So
wow.
Yeah. Yes. And my potassium was at, what was it? It was a 6, which is cardiac arrest arena.
Yeah.
So, and my liver enzymes were high and my, all the things that come with it. But yeah.
Wow. When you look back, being in the hospital and the doctors, taking care of you, what was your mental health at?
I felt great. I honestly, outside of my arms looking weird and having an IV hooked up, I felt fine. Now looking back, I was definitely in a brain fog, but sometimes when you're in brain fog, you don't realize you're in it. Right. And I just attributed because I wasn't sleeping. So since that workout, I struggled sleeping. And so then again, I had a couple coffee drinks during those days. I'm like, come on, wake up. Like I got work to do. I got things to do. So I was setting myself up for failure, not realizing I didn't know what was happening. So outside of, I guess, a little bit of brain fog, I mean, I felt great. I would have gone to bed that night not thinking anything of it. And so it's definitely a God moment that I was coaching because I would have done the workout with or without coaching. But being a coach forced me into the gym to be around people who knew what it was, So it was, I mean, no one in my life had ever heard of it. So it was a good thing. But yeah, I felt great. And then being in there, I think it was end of day 2, maybe. And then the doctor at the time, she knew what it was. And looking back now, there's part of me, I want to go back to her and be like, there's more you need to know about this.
Right.
She knew the most, but I want to go back and go, okay, I want to bring you up to speed now because there's a lot more you need to know. But she was the closest. And when we were sitting there and she's like, Sean, I don't think you realized how close, like you could have died. I don't think you realized how bad your levels were and how you were in really bad shape. And then I remember looking over my dad and my dad just, it hit him and he's slowly moving back, like the gravity and the weight of that realization. Yeah. But outside of that, of being told that, I wouldn't have felt it. I felt like, all right, I'm here. I'm still able to eat.
Take care of me.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't on any diet restrictions. I have no other health conditions, nothing. I didn't need to be on anything else. Thank God. I know a lot of people, like you said, with the flu, or I know people who are on statins that it can lead to a lot of stuff. So I didn't have any of that. They're like, you're really healthy. You're like the healthiest person we've ever worked on. You just have this whole thing, so. Anyway,
did they equate that to dehydration, or did they not connect it? They couldn't connect it to anything. Just
not really. Yeah, they didn't. I mean, they didn't really know a lot about it. They're like, they equated it to dehydration, and then they were trying to go down a route because I take various products that they don't know anything about, and so they're like, oh, well, it could have been those. I'm like, no, actually, I think those are why I'm in as good of a condition as you say I am. Like, they actually, and all the doctors in my community that I work with these products are like, yeah, no, those are the reason why you're still alive and your organs are in good condition. So, yeah.
I know for me, that transition after the collapse and then going through all my whole process, that I don't want to say it was a fear, but that concern of working out again and having the courage to go back into the if I'm drinking enough water today, or did I drink enough water all week so how was that part for you?
It's still a work in progress. I mean, I when I left the gym, left the hospital, I thought I'd be back to coaching a week later, 2 weeks later. I had no idea what I was in for, of just even to take off my shirt, I just grab the bottom of my shirt and pull up. I couldn't even do that. It was so hard. I mean, even my boyfriend at the time, he had to help me pull it off if he was around. Otherwise, it was like, okay, hold my breath. I can do this. Ooh, then try to push. And then even opening the door when normally you grab the door handle and then you kick with your elbow. I couldn't even do that. I'd have to grab the door handle, stick my shoulder, and then my other hand just to get out of the car. And then putting dishes away, even one dish, I'd get stuck right about this level and where the elbow's still at my waist. And it would just get stuck. It couldn't go any further. So that was all a process. Or even washing my hair was very taxing. So or doing my hair. So, those days was a real big workout to try to do my hair. So it was building back the strength. I can't sit still very well. So it was like, I was forcing myself. In Arizona, we got mountains everywhere. And so there's one that's right by my backyard, basically. And my grandma, she lives in Utah. She's like, those are mountains. Those look like hills. And it's a good 30 minutes to the top, and it's a steep, we got a lot of them. So anyway, so I would go do that. I would start off and just do half and then 3/4. And I'm going to build back into it. So I kept trying to set a workout plan to build back into it. But then I started getting flare-ups, and then it was like, okay, how do I not get a flare-up? And then I started getting flare-ups over not working out at all. I mean, I was on my birthday being outside. It's a little hot. Again, Arizona's hot. And I was in heels just talking to people, and I was only drinking water, eating good food, but just standing and moving so much and being a little hot, it set me in a flare-up. And so I was like, all right, this is annoying. I gotta figure this out. But my brain is like, I'm not gonna stop. Again, that's the cool thing you've probably found is now I've posted about it a lot, where we connect with amazing minds that challenge and push themselves more than the average bear. And so you end up with strong mindsets of like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. And so it's learning that that slow trek. And then I had one physical therapist go, okay, instead if you do an upper body workout, split it. Don't do a full body, do an upper body, and do 1 set per muscle group and then rest for 2 days. And to me, I was like, that is way too slow. I know. What? So I was like, all right, yep. So then upper body, 1 set, and then rest 2 days. And then I go do my hike, rest 2 days, and then 1 set lower body, and then rest 2 days. And then did that for a few weeks and then added in 2 sets. And so I'm still in that build back. And now the fight is not to continue to push myself. I keep going, okay, hold on. I feel like I can go more, but I don't push myself, and just trying to take that balance. But so answer your question, it's a work in progress, but it's a worthy one, and it's just a journey. It's just a part of the story, and nothing's going to stop me. I don't know if I'll get back to the level I was, but it is it's challenging and pushing myself and giving myself grace and patience to do new avenues of working out.
It's wild, because for me, it was being in the military for all those 24 years and not afraid to die, but I had this fear of going to the gym, not drinking enough water that day. So I would tell myself, well, I can't go because I only had a couple of bottles of water.
I've
So,
done that a few times.
and then I sit home and I beat myself up because, oh, you ain't go to the gym and you ain't, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
beating up myself. And then, in my mental health conversations, I realized that how I looked at the gym was that the gym was going to kill me if I went back to exercise.
Oh, interesting.
And I had to really look at it and separate the emotional state of it because
Mm-hmm.
like the gym was coming at me with a knife and I had to challenge that.
Oh,
Does the gym have a knife at you? No. So is it a threat? No, it's not a threat. But how I talked and the
Mm-hmm.
stories that I had built up from that experience,
Mm-hmm.
I talked like the gym was going to kill. And so when I discovered that was my issue, I was able to free myself from that story, and then
Yes.
just kind of go back into the gym and just as you said, work my way back in there. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that how I viewed the gym was as to kill me if I went back.
Right.
And so,
Yeah. That's a powerful realization and story to catch on to.
yeah,
But movement to me, I'm like, movement is medicine. And and especially by having rabbit, the less that we do, I know in some of these forums, they're like, just stop working out. I'm like, no, then you're just going to get progressively worse.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, I mean, obviously if you drink too much water, you can drown, right? But you can't live life with no water. Movement is medicine. Find that balance. I mean, yeah, I may not be doing the crazy hit trainings that I was doing before, and that's okay. I might have to just go steady. I love to dance. There's other movements and things that get me happy, and I can challenge and push myself. And, I mean, the goal is to get back, and I love being an athlete. I like pushing myself, but I'm giving myself grace. I have days of frustration for sure, but yeah, but no, that's a powerful realization to attach to it.
And I was just happy to be back into the gym and just hear the squeaky floor. Like that was enough for me just to hear the
Yes.
squeaking across the basketball, the bouncing. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, that's like mentally refreshing. So, and then when I
Yes.
did play, of course, if I pushed myself too much, I'd be down. Like you said, I'd be down for a couple of days, but my mind was free. So for me, it was worth the experience of having my mind be free, but then I'm dealing with my pain. So you got to find that balance that works.
Yes.
So before I let you go,
Yeah.
what do you want people to know about Rhabdo in your conversation? What do you want the people to walk away?
You know what I think? I think the biggest thing that I wish I knew, I just wish I knew what it was. I do believe though, just like that quote of that feeling of being alive, pushing ourselves. And I'm very proud of what I did. It was a tough day, but I think it was about 5 or 6 months after where I started to go, all right, now I wish I did it a little different. This is getting annoying. At first I'm like, yeah, I don't regret it. Don't regret it. And
Yeah.
I don't want to regret anything, but now I go, I would have done something a little different now. Cause I didn't go from 0 to 60, but I went from like 25 to 60. There's
Yeah.
other spots I could have done. And so I think it's just having that awareness that you can push yourself too hard.
Right.
People do all the time, and just trainers who have no idea, and they get someone who just came off the couch. I want to get back into the gym, and then kill themselves. And
Exactly.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
You gotta trust and listen to your body, and it is telling our stories, right? Like your story, the gym was going to kill you, and then mine, I'm like, let's go, And so it's finding that balance of that story, of that healthy way of it's good to push yourself,
Yeah.
but monitor your levels, monitor yourself,
Yeah.
drink, be hydrated, electrolytes, and quality electrolytes. Like get rid of table salt. Everyone get table salt out of your house. Get it, throw it in the trash, and buy quality mineral salt. Like there's Celtic sea salt. I think there's the real salt. There's called a company called Sea Salt, but it's SEE, and then that's from the French, the whatever. This is terrible. I don't know what the
It's
ocean
okay.
is over there.
Yeah.
What the Mediterranean. But anyway, so they pull it off of there. But it's just you can tell a difference. And mineral salt puts minerals in your body. So
Right.
add it to your water. Add it. I have little vials that I'll even shake when I'm in a restaurant. I'm that weirdo. I'm unapologetic about it. I don't care. Make fun of me all you want. So having quality liquid IV and Element are trash. They have table salt in them. Do not buy them. Like dry water, I have not affiliated with them. So I'm just saying what works. So just my whole point is mineral salt and just monitoring your levels. I think that's something that I wish I would have known. You know, I think it's like winning the lottery. We have no idea who's going to get it and when. So you don't know until you push yourself. I mean, as like the Tufts article, right? Of all those students, only all of them did that same workout. Half of them got it, half of them didn't. You know, what's that difference? And that's the, you know, like the gene, that's probably something involved in there. But anyway, so I think long-winded answer. I just wish I knew what it was. I wish I knew just to look out for those levels and be careful. And would have definitely been more hydrated going into it, and, you know, not drank 2 glasses of wine 2 nights before, and had more water at the pool the day before. So.
I just want to say, just a lot of times you hear people say, oh, go to the gym and sweat out a cold and things like that. That is not a good idea. That is not a good, because your body's already under stress. So if your body's already under stress and you try to go to the gym and sweat that out, you could trigger some conditions of rhabdo. So
I guess you could. See, for me, I'm all about detoxing. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. See, when I'm sick, I go sweat and it helps, but you know, that can also be a hot bubble bath or whatever. But you bring up a good point. As far as connection to rhabdo, then that's where you do have to pay attention. If you don't know if you're going to do it, but yeah.
All right. Well, you did an article, in a
Oh yeah, the Wall Street Journal. Yes, a journalist had outreach to some of us that were in it. So yeah, and she was just more so I think piggybacking off of it. I felt like there was a better opportunity. And I asked her, I was like, is this an opportunity to like actually talk about how to prevent it and whatever? And she's like, I'm just talking about what it is. I'm like, okay.
Thanks.
I did get labeled a fitness buff in it, so I didn't hate that. But
hey, well, there you go. See, you're back. You're back. Yes. But thank you for taking time out and hanging out today and sharing that. I just want people to get a sense of how important, again, this conversation is.
Yes.
Who exercise, who may experience these and don't know what that is, or you might recognize this in someone else and help that person, as you said, discover, hey, you might need to go to the doctor and get checked out because you don't look well. So thank you for your time, Chef.
Yes, no, thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is the first segment of the Ferran Show, Trench Talk. Rhabdomyolysis, again, is very important. You can go to ferrand.com. I have a www.rhabdo.info connected to the ferrand.com page. You can go there and get some more information. Again, very important subject. I've interviewed from little Asian women to muscle-bound men who work out and had experienced this condition called rhabdo. Anybody can experience rhabdo. Sometimes cholesterol medication, statin drugs can cause it. Inherited genes, being dehydrated. They're saying that now, of course, infections. And I'm looking at the football only because you can experience rhabdo from a car crash, like from crashing into something like a car crash. So if you look at football players and they're running into each other like little bitty Fiats or whatever you want to say, could that be a trigger over time that could cause that person to experience that type of rhabdomyolysis in sports, playing football? So it's something to look at for myself. All right, I'm going to come right back. I got this next piece coming up. Again, I hope you stay tuned for this topic here. I believe that this is something that I know for myself, and the people that are here to discuss this are going to help me share why, you know, there's this activity of life that we focus on what we're doing as human beings. And then there's this part of us, the human experience, the human being experience. And I just believe that we don't really focus on the human experience and how that really gets us caught up in some of these conversations in the world, right? So we're going to have that talk next, right here on the Ferran Show on MBR platform right here. We're going to play next. Oh, let's play this.
Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org.
Tune in to the Ferran Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the KCARadio.com website on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. Brought to you by Sports Collective TV, Sports Collective Radio, and Sports Collective Media. We got the Heme Factor, we got In the Zone, and we got Fourth Down and the 20-second Timeout Sports segment. All for you right here on the Ferran Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the KCARadio.com website with my guest hosts Robert Lamar and Coach Will. Catch us on Sports Collective Media on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure you watch us Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the KCARadio.com website. Music, talk, sports, and so much more. Ferran Dozier Show.
I just wanna praise His name, my God. Lift His name up high, dedicate this life, give Him all we got. We will testify with our hands out, keep 'em up in the sky.
I just wanna praise. I just wanna praise. I just wanna praise. I just wanna praise. I made it up out of the city, avoided the hate and the gritty. Me and my little brother, my lovely mother tried to make it easy, but we was some knuckles though. We used to let them knuckles throw. We used to let them chuckles go when we thought about the places we would go. Yeah, lights off. Yeah, no, really. Lights off. Yeah, no money. Lights off. Under the candlelight.
That's right. You can catch me on the Ferran Dozier Show Sports Collective TV, Media, and Radio on KCA Radio on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Also, I have a Christian hip-hop talk show on Lit Live called The Rivers Radio Show. Shouts out to my co-host, One Way TK. We pre-record that, so if you're in the Christian hip-hop artist or you're connected to that community, you want to be a guest on there, just message me at Ferran Dozier, and we'll put you on the schedule for an interview. That is one of my favorite shows as well. I get to play Christian hip-hop music and talk to different artists about their walk with Christ and what was going on in life and things like that. So I like that show. Yeah, I told you I got quite a few shows. I got about 4 shows, so we be getting it in over here. All right, so I was gonna do this whole big monologue opening conversation, but for me, again, these are only our opinions. This is not about politics directly. This is more about what it is to be a human being and experience these government systems, right? I look at as a biblical conversation. I look at Moses and the Israelites and how they walked those 40 years in the wilderness, right? and even though they had all those miracles every day, God showed them a miracle, protected them, took care of them, fed them. They still had Egypt in their hearts. They still complained about being in the wilderness. They still complained about why we out here, Moses. And I just believe that still carries on today with these government systems. See, I believe that it was good that they didn't go straight into Canaan, into the promised land, because imagine going into the promised land and you already had to take on situations when you got there to take that land over. And then your memory, your mind is and also complaining about the past. Like, that doesn't work. Like, how can you move forward in life when there's things that you are complaining about in the past, yet you've got to take on situations in life today? And that's part of the human experience that I believe, even around these conversations we're going to have right around today, that you got to take a look at that for yourself, right? And what is that has you be in the past upset and frustrated and carrying that to the future conversations? And now everything is all chaotic. So I'm going to bring up my guy Caldwell first. I've been working with Caldwell for about 8 years now. Met him doing a military interview with a World War II veteran, and then we talked, and we were on the same page when we met, and I appreciate him. I'm into personal development. I'm into the biblical principles. I'm into grief principles. I just realized that we all are used by something. Like, what are you used by? Like, you're used by something. And sometimes it's a corrupted, broken conversation that's driving you, that causes you to respond or react to life. And it's exhausting. Mental health, that's why mental health is so important. So I want Caldwell to just kind of set the context for me before I bring up the next two gentlemen who are here to share as well. But I just want to kind of get this off the ground from a perspective of not what we're doing as human beings, but who we're being and what is the impact of that. So here's Caldwell. What's happening, sir?
Good afternoon, my friend.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Your intro got my brain buzzing.
You got it. You ready?
Yeah. I'm buzzing.
Okay, cool. So again, thank you for taking time out, man, to help me kind of move this conversation forward. I just realized that I don't think like everybody else does about life anymore, right? And I may have messed up a friendship recently about me expressing myself about my stand and my belief system about why I'm not worried about these government systems conversations, right? As a kingdom citizen, I know that this government on this earth is not my government, right? So I put my biblical context before the world context now. And so, however, there are things in life that we are affected by, right? And these conversations that you and I have had, that we discuss with your education, with my knowledge and your knowledge, the emotional part of these conversations in the world. I even see the stuff that Trump talks about. I recognize on his first term that he was saying so much stuff that just people just upset, and he was just talking about stuff like he hadn't even done anything yet, and people were getting so upset. But now that he's back this second time, and he's taken on, dismantling these things or doing research in these, however people language it. For myself, I'm still not upset with it because as you and I talk about the past, is why I wanted to bring this part up first, is there's so much emotional stuff that we're dealing with individually as cultures, as Blacks and whites and Hispanics and Asians, that could be also clouding the conversation of to have a straight talk about stuff, right? So you talk about from your education, exclusion and exclusion, not from what you're doing to me in life, but the experience of my life as being excluded and included. So can you talk about that part?
I'm from a large family, number 10 of 11 kids, born on a farm in East Texas. And we came to Los Angeles when I was 10, and I went through the LA Unified public education system. And I remember in high school reading Henry David Thoreau, a mid-1800s philosopher. He talked about, he asserted that the masses live lives of quiet desperation. And I thought, this man's talking about my family. And I thought that people who were more fortunate with resources and education, et cetera, didn't have to go through that. But as I grew older, I kept running into people who were living lives of quiet desperation. And then somewhere along the way, I met an old Viennese psychoanalyst named Fritz Perls, who created a therapeutic process called Gestalt. And Fritz said, the masses of us go through life thinking of the future with anxiety, worrying about it. Or as you said about the Israelites, looking over our shoulder at our past with regret, while life is happening where we are now and we're absent. Mm-hmm. Be here now. And he set me on a course of healing that has served me well for 6 decades. Your turn.
Yeah. So, and thank you for saying that, because I need people to, I want to set the conversation, the foundation of where we're going. There's a conversation that you and we discuss, and it goes back to the political side of this, the red and the blue states, right? And how, as a black community, some of us still talk from or about the slavery conversation, right? And then more so, maybe my generation, my mom's generation, and even part of my grandfather's generation was the Jim Crow era, right? And that too was a fracture on our emotional state as a black community, right? And then you talked about the political side of that, on how Ronald Reagan, when he was running for president, and he saw that with he and Lee Atwater, saw a way to strategize race and unhyphenate the second-class citizens who were white-skinned to check the white box, and then left African Americans hyphenated and Hispanics and Asians hyphenated, which is another inclusion fracture on the human experience, right?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned how when the South was a blue state, it goes back to the Civil War, when the North and South fought and separated, right? And how that they wanted power in the state back then. And that's what they did, and create those Jim Crow laws and all the things to control, blacks, or whatever they did with the racism. But even in the white skinned community, they didn't get along prior to the unhyphenated phase of that, right? The Italians, the Polish, the Germans, the Irish, they didn't get along either.
Every immigrant group from Europe, all white, was marginalized as a quiet part of the unspoken agreement. You're less than first class. But conditions were so terrible where they were willing to make that bargain. I'll come because less than first class is better than what I have now. And one of the ways that agreement was presented, but never publicized and never honestly talked about, every immigrant group had a pejorative nickname, WAPs. You know what WAPs are? Italians. Kikes, Jews, ragheads, East Indian, crackers, rednecks, hillbillies. Every one of those pejoratives were, for them, equal to nigger. So what I'm saying, we were not the only excluded group and marginalized. But our condition was so egregious that the predators who pounced on and took advantage of recruiting white folk who were marginalized were successful by pointing to us as, well, you see, you're better than them, so come on and join me. And that set the definition of the problem as a racial problem. And many of us, excluded and marginalized, bought into, oh, it's a racial problem. And when, as you alluded to, the political predators said to the Southern whites who were marginalized, come over here into our party. You're in the wrong party. You're in the party with the least of these. And en masse, the solid Jim Crow South moved to the Republican Party, took it over, and are still running it.
And so that's where I want to start this conversation with you and the other gentlemen. Is that's the same mind frame that I'm having with the Israelites in the wilderness that the South changed parties, but they didn't change their mindset. So the stuff that they're doing today, that Trump is executing and speaking to those fractures, is that they want power back in the state again, right? And so they're getting rid of the federal. And tell us, why are they getting rid of the federal jobs and all these other things with this DEI, Caldwell? Tell us, why would that be such an emotional trigger?
When I graduated UCLA in 1957 with a degree in business administration, and the UCLA administration allowed corporate America to set up recruitment booths to get these bright boys who were graduating from UCLA, very explicitly in 1957, no Jews, no Negroes, no Orientals, no Hispanics can be interviewed. But Jews could get the civil service jobs. The rest, blacks and browns, could not even get those. Jews for centuries have led the intellectual parade in all fields because of their bar mitzvah process. So you look at your history and your arts and your, professions led by Jews. And so what they did, they could get the civil service jobs, so they took advantage of that. The staffs of all elected people in Washington were selected from among the bright college graduates. And the Jews established a beachhead, most highly educated tribe in our country, leading all the departments in our government. And these departments that Trump is now trying to destroy, the buzzword is deep state, but the real word is Jews. Jews will not replace us. We need to, and since they control the civil service organization simply by merit, you have to come up with another explanation for it. I assert that the fascist Southern and back in the 30s and 40s, they really in their hearts supported Hitler because Hitler spoke their language. It is unpublished and unacknowledged an attack and trying to wrest the government back from what they perceive as Jews.
And to
I haven't seen anybody publish that assertion. I'm saying look at the facts and check it out.
We talk about, when Ronald Reagan, said the government is the problem.
Right.
And here comes Trump with the same kind of conversation about the government's problem. But you are part of the government. Like, so how can you speak to that?
You're heading the government.
So how does one miss that conversation unless you're just not paying attention to your emotional state about it? Like your emotions are leading that.
Well, I have a theory about that. For a millennium, more than 1,000 years, in every part of the world, no matter your tribe, your leadership paradigm had a guy at the head, a chief, a potentate, a whole list of names, but the same organizational structure. And you and I were simply subjects under the king, which meant do the best you can without getting caught.
Yeah.
So the role was, at the risk of losing your head, don't get caught.
Yeah.
And those Englishmen reached back to an old Greek idea. Let's one way to get out from under our king, let's rebel and try this experiment. Let's try democracy.
Yeah.
I used to be angry with them, but I'm no longer angry with them. They were doing the best they could with the information they had. Because what the error they made of a shortcoming was seeking to impose a participatory democracy on a group of people who were subjects.
Yeah.
Who really in our heart of hearts long for the king to just tell us what to do.
All right.
And I'll end with this.
Yeah.
That's who Trump is. Notice war with Russia and Ukraine, I'll end it in 24 hours. Oh, now I can relax. He's going to take care of it.
Speaking to those fractures, huh?
Speaking to those fractures, and it's in our DNA because it's been there for 1,000 years, passed on from generation to generation. We prefer a taller than average man who will say, I'll take care of it for you.
Yeah.
And if you look at when we call successful presidents, George Washington, John Kennedy, Barack Obama, beat the short guy who came. Okay. But a woman is a step too far.
Yeah. Well, I'm adding to the stage our other guest, man. And I know you gentlemen have been listening.
Man.
Yes, sir.
You got me over here boiling.
Facts.
How you doing, Mr. Williams? The pleasure's all mine. I heard a lot about you, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure meeting you.
DeAndre Adams.
Tyler Dorsey, nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, I'm running for City Council District 8 in Los Angeles in 2028. That is my goal. And let me tell you something now. What you're saying is, so I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. So hey, highly decorated, trained, hand-to-hand skilled man, former federal agent for 5, 6 years of Homeland, veteran myself. But let me explain something to you. What you say. When we walk in a room, we already guilty by blackness already. We walk in a room when they see that frame coming in.
Yeah,
when our frame comes in the room, everything changes, even down to education. So my tired Mr. Dorsey on my left side of the screen, he's my head of education for my campaign, and he created character math that makes a kid super smart faster than that hooked on phonics stuff we used back, in the early part of the 90s and going into 2000. Unbelievable stuff. So what you're saying about the mental aspect of it, and what Farouk said all the time, Dorsey says, Dozer says he feels the same way I feel sometimes. We're getting the short end of the stick, and this man promised to do all these things like every president does, every senator does. We're going to change this, we're going to change that. But see, my approach is like this. I'm not going to be about it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to be about it. I'm just going to be a do-getter. That's it. I'm going to go in there and try to change things. The outside bribery stuff, I'm too big to get bribed. 6'4". I'm not going to everybody trying to bribe me and say, well, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you.
Right.
I don't need anything about the money for me. It's about the future education of people of all races and creeds. Because I'm not worried about this person saying, well, I'm an Israelite or I'm a Jew. I tell Jewish people all the time, you're not Jewish. Jewish is a religion. I don't know why you keep calling yourself Jews when it's a religion. So stop calling yourself a Jew and just say you're a Hebrew. That's the case from the land, private land. Stop saying you are Jewish and to the main fact that you are Hebrew. Dark-skinned people back in Egypt, period. So I think white America, and this is my opinion, just get intimidated by it when we walk in the room because of the smartness, all the stuff we have gave to America and bloodshed and tears. And if figuring one day, maybe 600 years from now, we pass, we're going to figure it out eventually. And it's scaring them right now. It may be scaring Donald Trump. I voted for the other woman, and I'm a Republican. And I voted for her because I want to see change, but she wasn't ready for it. I don't think she's ready for it.
Wasn't ready for it. So I just pray for the man. That's all I can do. I pray for him every day. I let God make that judgment. I can't make it for him. And who knows, Mr. Caldwell, being at your tender age of 90, you've seen it all. I'm from Mississippi, so I've seen it from the age of 14 till I got to my later part of my 30s. But you've seen it all.
Yeah.
Jim Crow, everything. All I saw was the crow. I didn't see the Jim. I saw the crow. You know?
Mr. Dorsey, man, you know,
yes, sir.
What have you heard, and what's your experience of these conversations, man?
Well, from the first woman who came on, I'm a big health fanatic too.
Okay.
So when she was talking about that, I was really big on that because there's a lot of things that we could do that's natural resources, you know what I'm saying, that can get us off these medications that would really work for our bodies. But people worried about instant gratification is not our friend, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you become an adult, that should be something that should really hit, you know what I mean? So you just got to be able to understand what's more important to you. Is it your health or your desires? And that's the thing that the health stuff. You can use red onions. You could use a cayenne pepper for help you with blood and heart. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other things that you could do to really satisfy your health with your exercising. When we are talking about Mr. Williams here, I mean, he was hitting it on the nose. You know, it's we gotta live in the now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are stuck in the past, but even if you are stuck in the past is supposed to be a lesson. You know, it's not supposed to drag into your consistent future in case it's something that needs to be changed. And when we're living in the process of now, we have to understand that if we don't magnify what's really happening, then we're letting it happen. You know, you ever heard that line? Is if you allow it, then it will happen. You know, so when we're living in today, it's not about race. A lot of people make it about race. It's really not. We got a few groups of ignorant dummies that think that they can do their worst to the people.
Yeah.
And I think the undermining scale is the internet. The internet has opened up a lot of things to the people that they always kept hidden. You know, let's put it in this building. Let's bury it here. You know, so now for me, you know, that's why I appreciate Dre. You know, if anybody knows Dre, you should appreciate that man, because that man, he's a smart man. He knows what's going on. And my thing is that how come there's not more people that see things the way I see things, or the way Williams see things, or the way Dre see things? Are you comfortable with living this modern day slavery? Like, people don't even know what modern day slavery is.
Right.
You ask somebody, well, what's modern day slavery? You work every day to live.
Yeah.
You don't get up saying that, you know what, I'm not gonna do nothing today. You don't get up and say, you know, I want to do this or I want to do that. You have to work. This is the mind frame of people. You have to work to exist.
Wow.
And that's the epitome of modern day slavery. And then you have a bunch of people who think that they are a part of, you know, okay, if I do this, you know, I can stay out of this way. Or if I do this, I can stay out of this way. Well, look at all the Milanos that's being sent back. Look at a lot of the people who are rooting for Trump and other supporters and stuff like that. These people don't give a crap about you. They let you know with JFK. They say, listen, you crossed the line. And he's directly related. You cross the line, your body they go and find in the open. And that's what they do. They make examples of people. So I really need the people to understand that money is not the power. Your new things that you have, that's not the power. You know what I'm saying? Your big house, your cars. Nobody gives a crap about that stuff. Listen, give me a hoopty. As long as I can go to my mama's house and I go to my you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'll be fine.
Exactly.
You know? But it has to become a time where you have to step away from everyone else and be like this. I don't want to participate anymore. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to participate. I want to change it.
Yes.
And people who change it, a lot of people don't know how to change it. And you got revolutionaries. The big problem with revolutionaries is that they don't have a entrepreneurial or a business mindset. You know, they have the Killmonger mindset, or they have, you know, you give me this so I can do this. No. If you got a bunch of people who understand that the change needs to be made, why don't y'all all come together and figure out, okay, how can we finance the revolution? They say the revolution won't be televised. No. That was the old saying. We're in the 21st century. The revolution will be televised.
And they are.
You get
Now,
what I'm saying?
I have a question for Mr. Williams.
Hmm.
You mentioned about at UCLA, you had the job thing that no one can apply, but people of I call people racist. I call them clear people. And when you clear people, to me, you I see right through you. You're bull. That's why I call people racist, clear people.
Yeah.
And I'm a country boy. My grandfather was a Mason. He's always tell me, I killed a man. I was 19 years old, son, and walked out of all white jury because the judge was a Mason.
Mm.
And he said, and my grandfather was not a fear. He was a non-feared, God-fearing man, but he feared no man.
Mm.
He would walk on white folk streets in Mississippi. I'd be scared to death. The truck with him, he say, "What you holding your shoulders down for? So you stick your chest out. You walk proud to be a black man in America.
That's right.
You're not African American. You are Black American, born on American soil that we built. So white folks respected my grandfather. So how did you feel, Mr. Williams, when you was in that job corps? They didn't want to have no blacks, Mexicans, Asians. They couldn't apply, but only the Hebrew people, we call Jewish people, was comply with civil engineering jobs. How did you feel?
I was just beginning my journey as an adult, and disappointed, confused, depressed. I went through all the above. I had gone an extra semester. I was scheduled to graduate in June of 1956. And during finals week, when the campus is chaotic and people are all over the place, I ran into this girl who caused my heart to bust my chest buttons.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed a proper introduction because this was not somebody you hit on.
Exactly.
I couldn't find anybody who knew her. So instead of graduating, I came back in September of 56 till I could find someone to get that introduction. It was a proper move. Our marriage lasted 61 years. She died in 2020 at 83.
But that's what I'm talking
about. But I'm just giving you. So that was my priority. And during that depressed time, Soviet Union launched Sputnik, a satellite.
Yeah, I remember that.
You haven't seen panic, if you think COVID panicked us, like the panic in this country when every 3 hours that Sputnik went over and we didn't know whether there was an atomic weapon in it.
Exactly.
And so
I'm not talking about that. I remember that.
The call went out. I was old enough to recognize the call. I just graduated from college. Call went out. We need math and science teachers. We need to catch up with the Soviets. And my minor had been economics, and I'd had enough math. This Mr. Dorsey and I are going to have some conversation beyond this meeting.
I'm here. Dr. Dre is my manager.
I sent my transcript directly to Sacramento, and they told me what 2 courses they would grant me a general secondary teaching credential if I took these 2 courses. I was able to do that in the summer session, and I went into education because I needed a job. I would not marry a girl without being able to support a family.
Amen.
The Los Angeles Unified School District, a 25-year-old black male could only teach boys PE in a senior high school. Otherwise, I would have to teach in a junior high school because I was too close to the age of those girls. But I needed a job, and I took a job. at Audubon Junior High School in Baldwin Hills, Lamert.
Yeah.
Okay. Which was all white at the time.
Yep.
So I was a flying buttermilk at Audubon Junior High School, assigned to 5 classes of 9th grade arithmetic, mostly white boys. There were no other color in the school, but mostly boys who had failed arithmetic since 3rd grade. Passing out the books, book fight ensued in my classroom, a bungalow across the. This was before In Living Color, but Caldwell's attitude was, homie, don't play that. Collected all the books, put them in the closet, and for the rest of the semester, at night, I stayed up. Spirit duplicating system was a duplicating system, working out problems, introducing principles behind the exercises in the books that they had failed. Associative principle, distributive principle, commutative principle. Mr. Williams, don't you know who we are? We're the dumbest. Don't give us all those big words. I said, you've been conned. You understand everything that I'm saying. You've already learned the language. Don't tell me you can't. You're too dumb to learn. Average newborn is 19 to 21 inches. There's not a person in this classroom who's still that small. Don't tell me you can't grow. And in this class, you will.
Wow.
And in 2 weeks, they kind of came around. And this little dude, skinny black guy is kind of cool. And by the Christmas break, teachers' faculty party, Principal Leon Kaplan pulled me aside and said, I'm impressed with your relationship with kids. Later on, for me, translated that meant, I gave you the dummies and these kids are performing. What are you doing? And I want you in the counseling office so you can be exposed to more kids. So the flying buttermilk, I can sign you halftime if you'll begin simultaneously a credentialing master's program in educational psychology.
Wow.
And that in that process, I found my voice. Invented group counseling with these knuckleheads in junior high school. I had in business school, time and motion study. By the second semester, I was the word had gotten out that this black guy was cool to talk to. So in our junior high school, first level of offense, you get sent to the counseling office. Second level of offense, you get sent to the vice principal. So here I am, halftime in the counseling office, and kids lining up outside my office because teachers had kicked them out for misbehaving. And I only was there half a day. So I said to my master's committee, I think I'd like to do my thesis in group counseling. I'm experimenting with trying to see all these kids who want to see me. They said, you can't do that. This was fall of 1960. In 1960, group therapy, group counseling did not exist in any conventional institution in the United States. And my principal gave me permission, and I raised my black, arrogant voice to my master's committee and said, we're going to do this. And 2 of the 3 said, oh, let him do his thing. It's harmless.
Yeah.
But I found my voice through that process.
Now, you said, give him that 5 minutes of funk real fast on character matter. Let him know time it is.
Go ahead.
Check this out.
Yeah, because he got me started with that. I want to share just a brief story, right? Relating to yours that you remind me of. I didn't understand how dark the education system was. What year was you talking in your experience? What year was that?
Starting in 1959.
Okay. Since then, what I have overstood is that back in that time, education was justified. They was grabbing the best things and they was putting it to the forefront, right? But there's been a change of hands in time, and we're literally going through that in a different area besides education. So I ain't gonna talk about that, but it's been a change of hands. So we got people in these groups that are taking positions by elect or murdered. But either way, they can get there, right? So with me in the 21st century in education, I started when I created character map. I created character map because I took my son out of school because he came home and showed me a question. He said, I don't understand this question. I said, what's up, son? He said the question says, why was slavery necessary? And I was like, well, that's a good question, son, because I said, did you read it right? He said, yeah, Danny. I took his paper. That was it. I'm not even going to go into what happened because just know I went there and I turned that school upside down. But my thing was this. When I created character math a long time ago, but I just threw it to the side because I started becoming a businessman because I wanted to do things. I had my own personal goals of, trying to do change for our people in general. And once I turned it into a program through teaching my son, you know what I'm saying? I taught my son the program first. And then I taught the rest of my children the program. And I focused on my son because my son was, he was the worst in education at that time. So when I started getting into education, I got behind the curtain. You get what I'm saying? And when I got behind the curtain, I noticed that this is all intentional. I had a Caucasian in a high position come downstairs. There was I was at the receptionist desk. I'm in the administration, and they were like, "This program is great. Da 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 da. We're gonna talk to this person." Then someone came down and said, "Mr. Dorsey." I said, "Yes." They said, "Can you wait a second, please?" I said, "Yeah, okay." It's we have a chairman coming up. I mean, a councilman. No, not a councilman. A chairman. He was high. He was above the administration. He's come down, come talk to you. I said, "Okay." He came down and he said, "Mr. Dorsey." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Explain to me your program." And I'm gonna explain it to y'all when I'm done. But I explained the program to him, and then he said, "You have a marvelous program." I said, "Thank you." He said, "Come here, let me tell you something." So they put me like 5 steps away from the administration desk, you know what I mean, to talk to me. And he said, "I hate ABC Mouse." And I was like, "Okay." He said, "I hate Hooked on Phonics too." I said, "Sir," I said, "You know that these 2 programs are the most infamous programs. They taught every single student, adult, everyone how to read. You know what I mean? Students knew how to read before they even knew the definition of the word. Why don't you like this program?" He said, "There's my own reasons." I said, "Well, I have time. I'm here to explain." He said, "It's okay." He said, "But let me tell you something." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Your program will never find its way in my school." He said, "Good luck to you. You have a good day." And walked away from me. I was like, the thing that makes me upset with these hateful people is that when they get in a position of power, they have a level of arrogance that always just take your whole foot and stick it in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So when I started getting into education, I realized that that man's statement is literally the practice of the education system today. I have the only math program in history, in the world, period, that's going to teach students how to multiply and divide indefinitely. Now, let me break something down to you, right? This is something that people don't understand. A lot of people know that the one thing the government is afraid of is women. Sorry. The second thing that they're afraid of is children. Okay. Now, before I get deep into this, because I'm trying to cut it short because I know my man has a time here. So, do you realize that if a child cannot graduate, they can't be nothing that they want to be in life? Think about that. How many of us wanted to be scientists? How many of us wanted to be engineers? How many of us wanted to be astronauts? Once you learn how to read, you can learn anything, right? But if you don't know math, you can't be nothing in this world today. You can't be a carpenter. You can't be an engineer. You can't be a chef. You can't be you can't be a nurse. Even a nurse has to have good multiplication and division skills. So what happens to the children when the children realize that I can't be what I want to be? Because you might make it to your science class because it's great. You get these groups, you get to work together, you get to watch stuff implode, explode, and you get to mix chemicals, and you get to meet and do different people from different areas, different backgrounds, and then all these numbers start hitting you, and it's like, I'm gonna go sing, or I'm gonna go dance, or I'm gonna go rap, or I'm gonna go shoot a ball, or I'm gonna go run down the field.
Yep.
Think about that. And now we're in entertainment, but the entertainment business is controlled by another beast. So let's not go there. We already know the answer here, right? But let's go back to exactly what we're talking about. The children are being controlled because they don't know math. Because you can't now be what you want to be. You have to alter what you want to be in order to succeed in life, or you got to work for somebody else. You got rich people can't count their own money, right?
Every day.
So now I'm gonna show you why. If children can be what they want to be, I'm sorry to put it this way, and I'm not aiming at any particular ethnicity, but if you look at anywhere that we put ourselves, we become the best. And it's not about someone can be better. Someone can be better. It can. But it's too many urban children, Milano children, that are really good at what they do if they had an opportunity to do it. Michael Jordan ain't the best basketball player. Kobe Bryant ain't the best basketball player. You name all of them. There's a bunch of kids out there shooting in a netless. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Across the yard.
For
You feel
real.
me?
For real.
But guess what? They don't have a sheet of paper that say that they can do it.
Yep.
And why? Because you didn't graduate. Because you didn't go to a particular college. Huh? Because your SATs, your stat is trash. So you can't do nothing in life. Okay? And this is where, no matter what we do, think about this. All four of us can die right now. The enemy still has power. But if we give the children the power to be what they want to be, the whole world's going to change. And it doesn't matter what color you are.
Nope.
Because
Doesn't
if
matter
you
what
got
color.
black children, if you got Hispanic children, if you got Asian children, well, Asians are good at math, but if you got these children going to these high quality colleges to get with some of these colleges that people can't get in just because of the color of their skin, but you'll get there if your SATs and your GPA or whatever it is the highest. It can't be ignored. Let him in. Let him in.
Yeah,
You feel what I'm saying? So guess what happens when you get a bunch of urban children in there with a bunch of other children that are being separated? And we don't got to have a long story about this. Y'all all black. What happens when you go to the park and there's a bunch of white children there? What do their parents do? They grab their kids and they walk their kids away from the park because there are too many black people here. Guess what? If you get these urban children in these schools, all of these children that are being separated and taught ignorance will not accept it. How many Caucasians right now are apologizing for the ignorance that has been taught to them?
Exactly.
Every day apologizing.
So let me just go ahead to the song. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm wrapping it up right now.
Go ahead. You good.
Okay. So, long story short, if we set the children free, all they need is math and reading, and then this world will turn around. Kill me now.
Oh yeah.
I mean it. Let's teach these children how to write, how to read, how to know math. Kill me now.
Where do you
I'll
live?
be fine. Yeah, I'll live. Excuse my language. I'll live forever. We'll live forever. And the world will have a better structure. You get what I'm saying? So, all right, let me break down character math to you, okay? A lot of people don't understand about numbers is this. And I tell everybody this. They be like, oh, I'm good at math. I'm good at math. Okay, what number don't you like? What's your hardest number? Oh, my number's 8. Then you don't know math. I mean, you might know how to add. You might know how to subtract. But you don't know advanced math. You don't know how to multiply. You don't know how to divide. Or because I can't, or because I don't, my 8 is not my strong point, or multiplying by 7 or multiplying by 9 isn't my strong point. I can still multiply, it just takes me a little bit longer. You don't know how to multiply. You see, in order to be something with a title, you have to know it all. And just to give you a short metaphor, you could be a cook that don't make you a chef. You get what I'm saying? So, what people don't understand about numbers is numbers have a pattern. Every single number has a pattern. And people think, okay, what about 13, 27 times this, 34, 556 multiplied by, no. Numbers consist of 1 through 9. It's Mortal Kombat. It's 1 through 9. What about 0? It's not a number, it's a digit. You only can consider 0 a number when it's a conjunction of 10 or 102 or 30. You know what I'm saying? That's where 0, but you can't take nothing from nothing and you can't add nothing to nothing. So it doesn't make sense. But 0 is an indicator that lets you know that you are about to repeat a process over again. Each number has a 5-step and a 10-step pattern. Okay? The numbers 2, 4, 6, and 8. I call them vowel numbers because their valuables are very simple. And 2, 4, 6, and 8 only touch those 4 digits besides 0 before they repeat themselves. 1, 3, 7, and 9, 10-step pattern. Okay? Because 1, 3, 7, and 9 touch every digit before repeating itself. Don't believe me? Go look at the multiplications chart. Look at every number. Because see, I would tell you this over the phone. I can't tell you this right now because my program is so simple. Hooked on Phonics is so simple, right? The man made $100 million for 11 years straight. And then after that, he started licensing his business off because everybody and their mama know the ER says the TH, the IGH, the OUGH. You know what I'm saying? They all know. You know he's not making a profit no more, right? So I can't give you the gusto, but I can give you a hint. You go take any multiplications chart, you know, the 12 by 12, that piece of crap. And then you go from the starting number and go all the way till you get to 0. Now, when you get to 0, okay, the pattern to every digit is on the right side or the ones column. Okay. On the second, on the left side, or you know, the right column, you know what I'm saying? I mean the left column is I call division changes because every number stays within the same division until it changes its division, and that's where it loops. So if you just go ahead, go into 12 by 12, look at any number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and go all the way up. All I'm gonna say is this: after 90, you get 99. After 20, you get 22. After 30, you get 33. After 70, you get 77. After 40, you get 44. And once you get there, you'll see the pattern. And these patterns will teach students how to multiply and divide indefinitely. And what do I mean by indefinitely? I'll break it down and then I'm done. Cindy comes to school, right? And she knows how to read, okay? So we're standing up in class and Cindy's reading her 10 paragraphs to the classroom, but the teacher can see something's wrong with Cindy. When something is wrong with Cindy, she's reading perfectly fine, but something is wrong with Cindy. So after Cindy is done, the teacher says, Cindy, everything's going on at home or stuff like that. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, I want you to talk to me after class. Okay. All right. Boom. But guess what? No matter what Cindy is going through in her life, she still knows how to read. Get what I'm saying? When you're talking about math, how many students make honor roll one year, but they don't make honor roll the next? Think about that.
They don't make it all 4 years.
Right. You had a loss in the family, you know, you had a breakup or whatever. You got into a fight with a bully.
Here we go.
And all of a sudden, you can't count straight.
Here we go.
You get what I'm saying?
There we go.
So what does that mean? That means there's 140 plus math programs out there in the world that is failing our children. If you learn something, what they say, if you ride a bike, don't matter if you haven't rode a bike in 2 years. Once you get back on, you can go, right? You might not have read a book and excuse my language, cut that out, please. You might not have read a book in 3 years, but once you open it again, because this is interesting, you want to read the series of Harry Potter, you can read. You see what I'm saying? So how come our math programs aren't doing that? And this is the reason why character math isn't the program that people want to focus on. Everybody loves character math. Let me get that understood. You know, I talked to a judge let me out of the courtroom for a ticket because she asked me, Mr. Dorsey, what is your profession? What do you do? And I told her what I do. She said, Mr. Dorsey, get out of my courtroom and do something with your program. I said, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So
you, man.
It's just that simple. We have to make sure that our students understand math. And I back Dre 1,000,000%. Not only is he a good man, like, look at this man's background.
Yeah.
He has a history of protecting people.
Yeah.
How many people get comfortable in their life and say, I'm just going to live my life?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like when you want to talk about politics, and I'm not a politician, I'm a factual guy.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to talk about politics, let's do some history.
Yeah, that's what
Anybody
I'm
who
saying.
see this man, anybody who see, let me put my finger in my own screen.
Yeah.
Anybody who see that man right there, if you don't support that man, you don't support the future. And if you don't support people like him, you don't support the future. And if you got an issue with education, do me a favor, stay away.
Period. Mr. Caldwell Williams, is what I'm telling you about. This is why you have just not even 1/3 of my team yet. You haven't even seen Right Down and Rippy. You haven't seen Tom Johnson, my financial guy. You haven't even seen Dr. Ubatsve. I got a team. And I was taught by now I'm not gonna say the man Jewish. I was taught by a Hebrew. That's what I'm gonna say.
So what is it? What is your office? What is your office for which you're competing?
City Council, District 8, one of the toughest parts of
okay, got it.
Everything. And right now it's held by Marquise Griffin. You know, Marquise Harris Griffin. He's Dawson born wasn't born in Los Angeles, but
I got it. I just didn't from the beginning I didn't know that you were LA people. So that's
I'm Los Angeles and we all are.
I got you.
And I thank God for for Ron, Mr. Dozer. We was on the same talk show in the same building for years, and then we never met. And God is good. So we have a radio show for the launch, which is a sports show. The Canvas show is going to be man. We cannot wait.
Yeah.
We have a live show we're doing in April for all men's salon called Hammer and Nails. We'll be there performing live right now. Bags to Canvas show. And now we can do something big. We in the political rant, and I'm not doing it for the people. I'm not doing it for the political. I'm not doing it for no money. It's about the people.
Yeah.
That little salary we got. I'm making more than the president of the United States of America. City council would make between $250 and $275 a year.
Yeah.
For what?
For what?
For what? You walk around in the office nervous, your hair getting more gray. My hair already grow. Great, so I can get no grayer over budget. So you can't cut the budget here and give a piece of pie here that got a piece of mold on it to the people. You can't cut pies and give mold to people to eat. You got to cut knowledge so people understand why are they voting for he or she in their districts. Give them hope, mental health, education. Why the veterans on the street more in any of them in houses right now? Ask that question. But you want to keep cutting the federal, and it's just not him. You can't blame the president. It's
well, like Mr. Dorsey said, man, your conversation about the children, bro, is exactly where we are, because that's where we lose them at. We lose when I did my own work 14 years ago, I realized that some of the stories that I made up that wasn't the truth all came from my childhood, bro.
Mm-hmm.
All came from my childhood. Even why I wouldn't read. I didn't want to read anymore, because I could read, but I was in the second grade and I would read with my finger because my eyes wouldn't stay on the lines of the paper, right? So I would use a ruler, or I would use my finger. So one day I raised my hand to read, and so I was reading The Cat in the Hat. And all of a sudden, all the kids laughed at me and said, "Oh, he can't read, ha ha." I told myself, I'm never going to raise my hand again, and I'm never going to read out loud.
Facts. And that confidence is what's being stolen from our children.
Stolen.
You feel me? Like, do you realize that we would not have no bad kids if they, like, all the bullies, all the class clowns, you know what I mean? All those kids, it's because they don't understand what's being taught to them. And guess what we're doing with them? Now we're throwing them in classrooms with kids with helmets on. So now, you know, I don't want to be canceled by the public.
No,
you know, too many sensitive people.
You're good. So
now you want to throw me in a class full of kids that have actual problems,
right?
And you are destroying my self-esteem.
Thank you.
As a child, you get what I'm saying?
Yes,
but that's what they want, though. Yeah.
But you know when I discovered that, Mr. Dorsey? I was 6 years old. You know when I discovered that? 40 years later.
Yeah, it's bad when it's too late.
40 years later.
When it's too late.
And I saw and when I discovered it and how ridiculous it was, I had to look at the impact, not just on me, because I saw the impact on myself, but the impact on my daughters.
Facts.
Because I didn't take the time to read those storybooks and use my voice and make the cartoon characters but no, I taught her how to use a VCR and put the cassette in and pick her movie and put it in the TV with the front end VCR and because I was not going to read to her. And I went as a father and acknowledged my job and acknowledged that to my children, bro, because I felt bad.
Yeah, it felt bad. Yeah.
And so I had to acknowledge that to them, and they was even fazed by it. It was their era. Oh, Dad, it was all right. It was good. We had the VCR, but as a father,
yeah,
that hurt.
It's hard.
Yeah,
I remember I couldn't read out loud neither when I was young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It took me a while to do that, but when I had children, I said to myself, I said, "How you gonna read your kids a bedtime story?"
And you'll know to read.
And like I'm one of those guys, right? I insult myself. You get what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't put themselves in check. They want to check everybody else but themselves. And when I thought about that, I said, "You damn dummy!" I said, "You need to be more confident to read out loud." Oh, I can read quietly to myself to understand what I'm trying to learn. But when it came to the chicken ran across the road to get to come on, man.
No.
Yeah.
Come on, man. So I understand that. Trust and believe. I can read real good now, though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave y'all something good. We're gonna wind down. This goes to Mr. Mr. Caldwell Williams. I feel that because a trailblazer like yourself, I don't call you a legend anymore. I call you an icon. Living that's something that we've been through as a people. You went through Jim Crow. You went through racism. You went through the struggle, and you went through the fight, and you did all of it on TV, VCR, all that stuff. We get the advantage. We talking about when he said we put the VCR for his daughter. What y'all looking at? Listen to Amos and Andy on the radio. So y'all was back in the day. What no MySpace and Facebook.
None of that
in the day, and you guys came out just fine. So what a
there was there'd be a telephone call from family or friends on the East Coast saying, "Turn on channel such and such. There's going to be a black person on it tonight."
Okay. I'm telling you, man.
I'm saying that's where we come from.
Yeah,
and today when I meet young people and they learn that all four of my grandparents were born slaves, they're in disbelief because their picture of those days was somewhere back in history. I said, hell no, I had parents who were first generation free.
Bingo.
And so if they can pass along to us the survival skills that got us here, no less is required of us in passing it along to our kids.
Yes, sir.
Tyrone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Farron, be certain that you connect Mr. Dorsey and Caldwell. I want to talk more to this man.
Yes, and you make sure you make that happen.
We're behind you, Mr. Adams.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And this is why I thank God for Farouk, because for real, he's one of those brothers that God's going to send. God bless him every day. I pray for him every day what he's going through with the sickle cell. Because we all have it. My sons have a trait. So I know I have generations of lupus in my family. I lost 2 sisters behind lupus. So I know it's like maybe somewhere down the line, God have a mission for me. And my book talks about that. So that's why I tell people, don't think the game is just a game. It's a reality. And people don't understand that. The political game is a reality game that we play, like that GPA or that Full Metal or Honor or that that Call of Duty. You get so focused on shooting, but the real criminals are walking right by you waving. Like you just okay, but they just walking by. Yeah, I'm gonna keep stealing all of your knowledge from you. Keep playing the video games. I'm gonna take your knowledge and I'm gonna have little Bobby as a manager of the restaurant, while little Mikey washing dishes still and got more experience than little Bobby. So keep doing that. And I'm trying to teach our people to stay off the video games and get your knowledge back in the real game. That's why I'm trying to build this academy.
Yes, sir.
Our mission is to build an academy in LA, call it Sacrifice in Despair and Poverty Academy. And you have 100 apartments with an actual academy, bringing back home ec, wood shop, banking, tech, all that. Because we don't have none of that for Black people. We invented everything, but ain't nothing for us. Hell, every screw you see on a plane, I'm sure a brother invented that screw to put in that plane. But now, so they fall in the sky, they blame everybody now. No, you blame the people who you're not educated by the math situation. Because you say the aviation becomes math. If Bobby can't figure out 2 + 2 and try to put a screw in there that doesn't fit, that's why the planes are falling apart. You educate these people, and now the president cut the new hooked on finding diversity act he didn't cut, and then people say, well, you can't hire me because I'm Black and smart, or you can't hire me no more because I'm Black and smart. People, wake your eyes, wake up. He's not telling you what you can't do. He's teaching you to do what you got to do.
See, that's so again, as I end this from a spiritual context, then you go back to that child and those adults and say, well, then what were you born to do? Why were you born? And maybe when you, like Caldwell says in his education, maybe when you discover that you don't want to be included in anyway, you're gonna go find something else to do anyway. But you emotionally feel left out. That's what I'm saying. People emotionally feel left out that you already included emotionally.
Man,
Caldwell has a thing that he said about Al Sharpton character.
Yep.
He said, "Get your knee off my neck."
All day long.
And I interviewed Caldwell. I said, "What's your conversation about that?" Caldwell said, "Well, what am I gonna do when they get my knee off my neck anyway?"
Yeah, what I'm gonna do?
What I'm gonna do after you take your knee off my neck? We're so emotionally fractured that you could change all the laws and make us feel included. If I don't feel included by myself on my own, I'm not gonna walk through your door anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
And the fact is, we're not included though. That's the thing that everybody's not paying attention to. Like this race crap is a game that people don't understand. Yep. We are one species. Exactly. And we are, listen, for us to be the most superior creatures on the planet right now, we are the dumbest.
Yep. We are the dumbest.
We are the dumbest. That's to allow these groups of wicked people to keep taking and taking and taking, and it's even dumber for these other groups to keep pointing the finger at us because we keep fighting. We keep fighting, and we got to stop playing the game because we played for 450 years. We played, and then what happened? Once we played the game, we started doing our own thing. Then they start drowning our cities. Black Wall Street. They start bombing people. They start calling people. Right. We had our own police. They wasn't called police. They was called militias.
Yep.
And then you infiltrated them. The ones who was protecting the ghettos in the neighborhoods. And now kids don't even know what it's like to come outside right now and look at their people in a respectful manner. We got drug dealers on the corners. We got whores on the corners. We got dumb, ignorant kids. I wouldn't dare send my child to a public school. Do you go into a public school? These kids are cussing at each other in the hallways, and teachers are just walking by like, are you serious, man?
Paycheck. You make a $27,000 a year paycheck.
Caldwell.
Yeah, we're not included, man. We're not included, so we got to stop playing.
Wrap up the show conversation, Caldwell. Yes, everything that you've heard so far, Caldwell. Wrap it up for us, man.
I'm calling on you to facilitate further dialogue where we're not constrained by the technology. I want some face-to-face time, particularly with Mr. Dorsey.
Yes, sir.
You got me, brother. I'm here.
We'll set that up.
Yeah,
we sure will. Now I can wrap it up.
And
thank
you for identifying the potential for at least getting us to meet one another.
Yes,
no doubt.
Always.
Big Dre, what you got, man?
That's a service to the community.
Yes, sir.
You are indeed.
You sure are. And I'm honored. The biggest honor is that goes out to God, of course, the great Almighty. But this panel was great with Miss Sean Johnson was sharing her story.
Yeah.
Unbelievable story. But my prayers go out to you, sister. If you're still watching. Incredible story and how she dealt with it and came back like a superstar. And I'm gonna say these words and leave you guys with a thought when you go to bed tonight. Remember, self-consciousness is what we make of it. And we sleep and understand that tomorrow is not promised. When we wake up in the morning, we can say there is a God that's waking me up every morning and give me the power and strength to keep going on to make things better for our people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I look at Thank you. So that's why. And y'all can find me at, of course, the Big Dre Factor on Instagram, and also my Facebook is DeAndre Adams. And if you'll find me, of course, in another 2 weeks we have a new show. Look out.
That's right. Bags to Canvas.
Bags to Canvas. We're coming soon. While you fighters out there and look for somebody to interview, come check us out. In April, we got a grand opening. We'll let you guys know in Santa Monica for Hammer Nails. We'll be reporting live. So come on out. Get a manicure, pedicure, face, get a trim, get your hair. all for men. It's the men's
all
spot.
that.
It's for the men. So all that, man. We'll be doing a live show. You gotta get a chance to watch this live. But thank you guys.
I'm gonna say this, man, and Mr. Dorsey, you said it. Our children. Every time God needed to change something in this world, He sent a baby. He sent the baby. And if we don't start to include our children in these conversations about what they're dealing with as a parent, parents, we disappoint our children. You better believe that you disappoint your child, and you need to allow that child to express that disappointment to you so they can restore their heart back to you, so that they can continue that love towards you. Because if you don't, that child is susceptible at 12 or 13 to go out and be a part of a gang, possibly, or some identity crisis.
Shooting up schools, everything.
So, Mr. Dorsey, I appreciate you, bro, because restoring self-love, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-affirmation, self-worth, we can do that for our children. That's the must. We have to be able to do that. Even for us adults who are fractured in those areas, because we was children too. You got a parent too that as an adult, you might have that fracture toward that parent. Restore that relationship.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, thank you for your time today. This is the Frondoze Show on Military Broadcast Radio Network, Trench Talk Edition. I think we was in the trenches today, so I think that was said. So shouts out to everybody who participated and listened. Again, thank you. We'll be back next Wednesday right here on MBR. Make sure you go to farandi.com. Everybody share where they're located so you can make sure I put that in the Instagram post. We can find everybody as well. So
make sure you Tyre, make sure you give your number. I'll make sure he gets it today in a few minutes. I'll transfer it over.
We'll connect. We'll connect those two.
I'm here.
Appreciate y'all.
Shalom, man. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for your time, man. Everything you said was right on point, sir. So you was good over here.
All right. God bless you guys.
Caldwell, thank you for your time, man. Caldwell's gonna be 91 in April, y'all.
All right, man. Happy birthday early, my young brother. My young brother.
That's right.
I told you now. You're not a legend. You're an icon.
The icon.
Brother.
You don't even look 90 nothing.
I know. It's that water, man. It's that
90.
It's that
I have work to do, and I've been given time to do it.
That's right.
Man, I love that.
That's right.
Yeah. Blessings, sir. God bless you all. All right.
Good night, guys.
Good night, Jack. Good night.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good night. Shalom.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.